Did you know over 3 million people in the UK currently live in areas considered to be in economic freefall? But here's the part that almost no one is talking about. Entire towns are on the brink of collapse. We're not just talking about poverty or unemployment. We're talking about places crumbling from the inside out, streets abandoned, homes boarded up, entire communities disappearing like ghosts. What happened to these towns? Why are once bustling places turning into shadows of their former selves? And the most chilling part, could your town be next? This isn't just an economic issue. Some towns are literally sinking. Others are being swallowed by the sea. Some have been left behind by progress, while others were never given a fair shot from the start. From tragic government decisions to natural disasters quietly reshaping our map, there's a story behind every broken window and closed-down shop. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know the 10 fastest collapsing towns in the UK and the jaw-dropping reasons behind their downfall. Number 1 will leave you stunned. Number 10, Canvey Island, Essex. Imagine living in a town where rising tides aren't just a future threat, they're a ticking time bomb. Canvey Island in Essex is one of the most vulnerable places in the UK when it comes to sea level rise. It's a flat, low-lying island in the Thames estuary, and more than 38,000 people call it home. But for how much longer? The entire island sits just a few feet above sea level, protected by a patchwork of aging seawalls. It's a fragile defense. In 1953, Canvey was devastated by a catastrophic flood that claimed 58 lives. Today, experts say it's not a question of if the sea will breach the defenses again, but when. Climate change is reshaping this part of the UK faster than many realize. With sea levels projected to rise significantly in the coming decades, Canvey has been flagged in multiple government reports as a high-risk zone. Some documents even warn that full-scale evacuation could be inevitable by the late 21st century. Already, residents are facing rising insurance costs and plummeting property values. There's growing concern that the town might be left to fend for itself. Businesses hesitate to invest. Infrastructure is lagging, and locals worry they're living on borrowed time. This isn't just about water. It's about an entire community slowly sinking beneath a wave of uncertainty. And the worst part? No one knows who will save it, or if anyone even will. Number 9. Barrow-in-Furness, Cumbria. At the tip of a narrow peninsula in northwest England lies Barrow-in-Furness, a town once booming with industry and now facing a stark identity crisis. In its prime, Barrow was a shipbuilding powerhouse, the beating heart of Britain's naval engineering might. But when the industry slowed, the town's fortune followed. Barrow's decline hasn't happened overnight, but it's been relentless. As the shipyard scaled back, thousands of jobs vanished. What remained was a community deeply tied to a single industry, struggling to reinvent itself in a rapidly changing economy. Dependency turned into vulnerability. Now, Barrow faces mounting issues: unemployment, health inequality, poor infrastructure, and youth emigration. Many young people leave and never return, chasing opportunities the town can no longer offer. Schools are underfunded, services are stretched thin, and with fewer residents comes a quieter town, shuttered shops, and an aging population. Yet here's the twist. Barrow still builds submarines. In fact, it houses one of the UK's most important naval production hubs. But even that lifeline is tied to defense contracts and politics, not exactly a stable foundation for a long-term recovery. Locals are proud, and rightly so, but pride alone can't fix decades of structural decline. Without serious investment, this coastal town risks becoming a relic of its own past. Have you ever been to Barrow? Have you seen the change yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're into real stories about real towns, hit that subscribe button for more surprising truths across the UK. Number 8. Blaenau Festiniog, Wales. Blaenau Festiniog doesn't collapse with noise. It crumbles quietly, beneath grey skies and moss-covered slate. Once the slate capital of the world, this Welsh town carved its name into history, with black stone pulled from deep within the mountains. Now, that legacy lingers more in memory than motion. This town feels like a place out of sync with time. Victorian facades wear erosion like tired faces. The slate mines are silent, and with them, much of the town's heartbeat has slowed. It's not just the economy that's slowed down, it's the spirit. There's a stark kind of beauty here. Rugged hills, stoic homes, a silence that speaks louder than any city noise. Tourists come to ride the mountain railway or take in the post-industrial scenery. But for many who live here, beauty doesn't pay bills. When the mines closed, the jobs vanished. What's left is a place trying to stay afloat on seasonal tourism and nostalgia. A few businesses hold on. Others have folded. Young people grow up and grow out, leaving behind grandparents, empty classrooms, and ghosted main streets. And yet, Blaenau endures. Not because it's thriving, but because it's stubborn. There's strength in its stillness. But even the most resilient towns need more than pride to survive. Decay isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it looks like a high street where lights don't turn back on, or a pub that quietly never reopens. A bus stop with no timetable. Blaenau's story isn't finished, but it's waiting for a new chapter to begin. Number 7. Fraserburgh, Scotland. Far up in northeast Scotland, where the wind cuts sharper and the sea hits harder, lies Fraserburgh, a coastal town once fueled by fish, and now fading in its wake. In the 1970s, Fraserburgh's harbor was alive with fishing boats, jobs, and the promise of a stable life. Today, many of those boats are gone, and so is much of the hope they carried. It's not just the industry that's disappeared, it's the confidence. With the decline of commercial fishing and increasing restrictions from Brexit and environmental regulations, Fraserburgh has struggled to find a replacement. Youth unemployment is rising, crime is creeping in, and entire streets bear the scars of economic neglect. What makes Fraserburgh's story even harder is the isolation. The town is distant, not just geographically, but economically and socially. Investment rarely travels this far north. Opportunities are limited, and those who stay often feel forgotten by decision-makers hundreds of miles away. There are signs of resistance, a college trying to modernize education, locals pushing tourism, families fighting to keep their community alive. But resistance alone isn't enough when the pull of poverty and apathy grows stronger every year. And then there's the weather. Fierce, unforgiving, symbolic. It shapes the town's character, but also hardens the realities people face. In Fraserburgh, decline isn't just about data or stats. It's about walking down a windy high street, seeing another shop closed, another building boarded up, and wondering who's left to care. A once proud harbor town now drifts, unsure if the tide will ever turn back. Number 6. Fairborn, Wales. Fairborn isn't just declining, it's being marked for disappearance. This small coastal village in Gwynedd, Wales, has been singled out by authorities as the first UK community likely to be abandoned due to climate change, and not in the distant future. Local councils have said that by 2054, Fairborn will no longer be defended from rising sea levels. Translation? It will be left to the ocean. Built on reclaimed marshland, Fairborn has always sat in a vulnerable spot. But now, with sea levels rising and storm surges becoming more intense, the risks are too great and too expensive to manage indefinitely. For residents, this isn't just about insurance or property value. It's about losing their homes, their memories, their entire sense of place. Imagine being told that your town has an expiration date, that no matter how much you care, no matter how long your family has lived there, the future is a retreat, not a rebuild. Some residents are fighting back, challenging the science, pushing for extended protections. Others are preparing, quietly, for the inevitable. Fairborn is more than just a canary in the coal mine. It's a painful glimpse into what might await other vulnerable communities around the world. It forces uncomfortable questions. Who decides which places are saved, which are sacrificed, and how do you tell a community to just stop existing? This isn't just a local story. It's a national warning, and Fairborn is at the front of the line, not because it did anything wrong, but because the sea simply won't wait any longer. Number 5. Skelmersdale, Lancashire. Skelmersdale was supposed to be a utopia. Designed in the 1960s as one of Britain's new towns, it promised green spaces, modern housing, and a community built for the future. But the dream didn't last long. Instead of prosperity, Skelmersdale became a cautionary tale. A town planned with vision, but left unfinished and underfunded. One of the most unusual things about Skelmersdale is its layout. It was built without traffic lights or traditional street names. That futuristic design confused visitors and frustrated locals. But what truly hurt the town wasn't quirky planning. It was abandonment. Key infrastructure, like a railway station, was never completed. Promised investment faded, and the town was left isolated, both physically and economically. Today, many parts of Skelmersdale show clear signs of struggle. Empty shops, vandalized estates, and a feeling that the town is still waiting for its potential to be realized. Social problems have taken root, with high rates of unemployment, mental health issues, and some of the lowest life satisfaction scores in the country. Still, there's a strong community spirit here. People who've stayed, or never had the chance to leave, talk about pride, loyalty, and hope. Local campaigns have fought hard to bring back rail links, improve public spaces, and support young people. But progress is slow and often met with silence from higher authorities. Skelmersdale wasn't built to fail, but it wasn't fully built to succeed either. It stands as a reminder that bold plans mean nothing without lasting support, and that a town's success can't be drawn only on paper. Number 4. Grimsby, Lincolnshire. There was a time when Grimsby wasn't just thriving, it was unstoppable. Once the world's largest fishing port, this Lincolnshire town was synonymous with economic might and maritime pride. In its heyday, it processed more fish than anywhere else on Earth. But that golden era is now a ghost. The collapse came fast. By the 1980s, tighter fishing quotas, international competition, and the cod wars with Iceland devastated the industry. Thousands of jobs disappeared. The docks fell silent. The proud fishing fleets became rusting relics. Grimsby went from global success to economic hardship almost overnight. But the hardest hit wasn't just the industry, it was the people. Entire generations were built on fishing. When that crumbled, so did the identity of the town. What replaced it? Struggles with poverty, addiction, underfunded schools, and social fragmentation. Tower blocks once filled with workers now stand half-empty. Symbols of a town trying to remember who it was. Efforts have been made to revive Grimsby, particularly through green energy and offshore wind projects. A few parts of the town are slowly transforming, but these shifts haven't been enough to lift everyone. Inequality remains sharp, and some areas feel permanently stuck in decline. Grimsby's story isn't just about economics, it's about what happens when a single industry defines a town. When that foundation cracks, what's left behind can feel like rubble, and rebuilding identity is far harder than restoring docks. Grimsby still has hope. It always has. But for many, hope comes with a side of heartbreak and a lingering question. Can a town that lost everything truly start again? Number 3. Easington, County Durham. In Easington, County Durham, the collapse was broadcast across the UK. When the last coal mine shut down in 1993, it wasn't just a blow to the local economy, it was a national headline. The images were stark. Empty helmets, weeping families, whole livelihoods extinguished. But what didn't make the news was what came after. Easington was built around coal. Generations worked the pits, the rhythm of daily life. The shops, the schools, the clubs, all depended on it. So when the mine closed, the town didn't just lose jobs, it lost purpose. What followed was a slow and painful unraveling. Unemployment soared. Mental health crises surged. Young people left in search of work, leaving behind a graying population and empty homes. The social fabric, once tightly woven through shared labor, began to fray. Government efforts to revitalize the area were patchy at best. New housing schemes came and went. So did various regeneration projects. But without real, lasting investment, Easington's progress often felt like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. There's a quiet dignity in the people who stayed. They talk about a past that built them strong and a future they still hope for. But the scars of industrial loss run deep. Some buildings remain boarded, some streets barely lived in. Easington's decline wasn't caused by apathy or mismanagement. It was caused by decisions made far away, by leaders who never had coal dust on their hands. And for towns like this, recovery isn't just economic, it's emotional. Because when the mine closed, it didn't just take coal, it took identity. Number 2. New Biggin by the Sea, Northumberland. New Biggin by the Sea is a town with a poetic name and a precarious future. Once a bustling coal port and fishing village, it now faces dual threats: economic decay and literal erosion. While other towns fade slowly, New Biggin is being physically reclaimed by the sea. The beach here had almost vanished until emergency sand replenishment projects pumped millions of pounds into saving it. A man-made sculpture stands offshore, 2 giant bronze figures staring out across the waves. Locals call them the couple. They've become a symbol of New Biggin, resilient, weathered, and always looking forward, even as the tide creeps in. But sand isn't the only thing slipping away. Like many former mining communities in the Northeast, New Biggin was hit hard when the pits closed. Jobs dried up. The younger generation left. What's left is a quiet town with shuttered storefronts and a population aging faster than the national average. Attempts have been made to draw in visitors. Art projects, small museums, seaside festivals, and the occasional summer crowd. But the seasonal nature of tourism makes it hard to build lasting momentum, and funding often disappears before results can take root. Then there's the isolation. Public transport is limited. Schools struggle with funding. And while the sea view is stunning, it's also a daily reminder that time is running out. Rising sea levels remain a long-term threat, and few are willing to invest in a future that might be washed away. New Biggin isn't giving up. Not yet, but it's a town on the edge, and every wave that hits the shore feels a little closer to the end. Number 1. Jaywick, Essex. Jaywick isn't just collapsing, it's become the national symbol of decline. Tucked along the Essex coast, this small seaside town has consistently ranked as the most deprived area in England. Once marketed as a cheerful holiday resort for working-class Londoners, it now tells a very different story. The homes here were never meant to be permanent. Many were built as temporary summer chalets in the 1930s, never intended to survive decades of storms, flooding, and neglect. Yet thousands of people live in them year-round, in fragile structures, some without proper plumbing, insulation, or even reliable electricity. Unemployment is high, opportunities are scarce, and during heavy rains, parts of the town turn into lakes. Some streets are barely navigable. Government promises to regenerate Jaywick have come and gone, but visible progress remains limited. The cycle of poverty and poor infrastructure continues with little interruption. Yet despite the statistics, Jaywick is not without heart. Many residents defend their town fiercely. There's a sense of community, of resilience, of wanting more than what they've been handed. There are children growing up here, families supporting each other, neighbors helping neighbors. But community alone can't fight climate change or make up for decades of institutional neglect. What makes Jaywick stand out isn't just the poverty, it's the abandonment. It's the visible consequence of what happens when a town is written off, when the headlines fade and funding dries up. Jaywick wasn't always broken, but it's been left behind for so long it's become a case study in how collapse doesn't always come suddenly. Sometimes it arrives drip by drip, until what's left barely resembles what once was. And now it's over to you. Have you lived in one of these towns? Or seen one rise and fall? Share your story in the comments. We read every single one. If this video hit you hard, go check out our last deep dive. It might surprise you even more. We pour heart, time, and research into every frame. So if you want to support what we do, please subscribe. It's just one click, but it means the world to us.